Bevan here, and I hope you're all keeping safe and well. In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the most iconic road trip routes through South Africa, and that is the Garden Route. Now, that mountain fringe trail full of indigenous forest and beautiful varieties of fynbos, it really is one of the most aptly named places in the country as well. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some of our favorite stops along the way, some of the things that we've loved doing from an outdoor adventurous point of view, as well as maybe some tips and things for your own planning of your own garden route road trip. Now, also for the sake of this video, we've decided to constrain the garden route to between Mossel Bay and the Tsitsikamma section of the Garden Route National Park. We've decided not to go with some of the inland stops like Oudtshoorn and the Swartberg Mountains. We'll maybe dedicate a video to those themselves in a later date. So without any further ado, let's jump on into our road trip itinerary here. So we're going to start off in Mossel Bay. Now, Mossel Bay I found to be a beautiful little town right here on the coast. I came here mainly to surf bodyboarding competitions, which we do here at Outer Pool. But for the outdoor adventurer, there's some lovely hiking trails around the town. The Cape St. Blaise Lighthouse has some beautiful caves around it as well. And obviously, this area is also very well known for its great white shark and seal activity. So Mossel Bay is actually quite an interesting spot. Unfortunately, the N2 seems to just bypass it, so it's kind of easy just to cruise on by without making a stop. So unless you're really stopping for fuel or lunch, people tend to go straight past Mossel Bay. So maybe next time you'll stop on in and just check out what it has to offer. But if you are moving on, the next big town that we come to on the garden route is called George. George has an airport that you can fly into. And one thing George really has going for it as well, other than the beautiful backdrop of the mountains, is the beaches for swimming. Our favorite being here in Herald's Bay, which you can see is a nice little cove, nice and tucked away, and the next one is Vic Bay over here. So both two little coves, great for swimming particularly and hanging out on the beach. So if you're looking for nice swimming spots along this area, then head to Herald's or Vic Bay. Next we come to Wilderness, which is a small little town right on the coast. The two big attractions that we enjoyed here from a viewpoint point of view, if I can say it like that, is this map of Africa viewpoint. And you can kind of get the vibe of it over here from that spot there, and as well as this dolphin point here. And as the name suggests, it's a good place to come and check out any sort of marine life, marine activity going on in the river mouth here. We've seen dolphins before, we've seen sharks before. I'm sure anything that cruises past is well visible from Dolphin Point. I've made a little note here as well. This section here is so renowned for speed trapping. I don't think I've ever made it through Wilderness without getting caught and without getting a speeding fine. So be very, very careful when you come to this section here. There's a lot of static cameras, and the traffic cops also set up a lot of trapping stations there too. So just be wary of that. Another big feature in Wilderness is the Toast River, and you can do ferry tours, which are great, as well as some kayaking on the river. So this river is also a very great feature inside Wilderness. And then the Garden Route National Park, or the Wilderness section of it anyway, is sat around here, and that's definitely worth checking out. As we move further afield to the east, we get to the next town, which is Sedgefield. Now, Sedgefield has an even smaller town feel to Wilderness, if that's even possible. It's just this tiny little hamlet wedged between the Swartvlei and the ocean, and it's just literally a little sandwich, and in between it is Sedgefield. And what we loved about Sedgefield was Gericus Point, which was an excellent, excellent sunset spot. You'll see here, you got to park to get to the beach. You park in this parking lot just up here, and then the rest of the way you got to walk. So if you are coming here for the sunset, you're going to have to obviously time it. Give yourself maybe 30 minutes to do this walk here. And from Gericus, you can look back to the west and you get an epic, epic sunset view. Another awesome feature or an awesome area to visit here in Sedgefield is the Tsitsikamma Nature Reserve. This beach just goes on and on and on. You're almost guaranteed to be the only ones there. And what's very interesting is these dunes over here are all these like hard packed sand. It looks a little bit sandstony. It's made these packed dunes in here. So it's also quite an interesting landscape as well. And yeah, you're surrounded by fynbos and just nature all over the show. So this Tsitsikamma Nature Reserve is a must stop if you're an outdoor enthusiast like us. Let's move on over now to Knysna. Now, Knysna is probably one of the most famous stops on the garden route. It's definitely well known by the foodies. There's a lot of excellent restaurants here on Thesson Island. In fact, all over Knysna, you can find some great eateries and things like that. The Knysna Heads are obviously the huge attraction in the area, very well known. There's a number of view sites on both sides, so worth checking out from any direction. If you want to get some beach time in, then Buffels Bay, just to the west, as well as Nutsi are notable mentions in that regard. But for us, when we come to Knysna, we really come for the forest. And this whole giant patch of green here is what I'm talking about. What we're looking at here is the Diepvalle section of the Garden Route National Park, or the Tsitsikamma National Park. And right on in here, the Sandparks office has a couple of sort of camping stands, I'd say. They're kind of just like boardwalks and wooden slats that you can camp out on. But the point is they're right in the forest here, and you're completely engulfed and surrounded by forest when you come and stay. And it's an epic, epic experience. There are hiking trails all over the show. All of them are elephant themed in honor of the Knysna elephant, which, depending on who you ask, the numbers are obviously very minuscule, but it's anything from 1 to 4, maybe to 10, but who knows at this point. You'll see as you hike, there's a lot of camera traps as well. So if someone's trying to monitor that activity, but yeah, we weren't fortunate enough to see one, but we've heard that there are some individuals left. And before you head back out, you might want to make use of this little obscure road here that heads into the mountains, and there's a little left off of that road, and you come up to this mountain view site here. Definitely worth the detour, because basically from that mountain view site, you have a full 180-degree view of the garden route from all the way to Plettenberg Bay, right the way back to almost the wilderness. That mountain view site was worth the stop for us. So it's a little bit further up the way, worth it, and then you're going to head back down to the coast and onto our next stop, which is here in Plettenberg Bay. Now, this is a town that I've spent a lot of time in myself. It's a fantastic little holiday vibe, well set up for tourists, and got lots of accommodation of all kinds, from backpackers to high-end bed and breakfasts. Definitely set up for tourists and travelers. But one thing I really love about the Plet area is its vibrant ocean life. From great white sharks to Cape fur seals to southern right whales to dolphins, it's got everything going for it out and about here. And one of the best ways to do that is to get out onto an ocean-based safari. And they leave out from here as Central Beach. And yeah, like I say, you can get on a whale watching tour, dolphin watching. You can go ocean kayaking from here. There's some surf spots as well, if you feel comfortable surfing with all that sea life going on. But another cool way to observe the ocean life is on the Robberg Peninsula hike. This is about a 4-hour round trip hike. Carry lots of water. There are no ablutions along the way. I made the mistake of not having enough water, and it was, yeah, I paid for that dearly. You're going to come past this gap, and if you're hiking along this ridge over here, what it gives you is some excellent top to bottom views of the ocean. And there are a lot of seal colonies over here, which you'll probably see along the way. You may even spot a shark as you come through. You can see this dark figure over here is not a shark. It's actually a shipwreck. But yeah, that's one of the real benefits of this side of the hike, is you're kind of elevated, you're looking down, and you're going to see anything that cruises past here. It's really, really cool. And then on the way back, you kind of come through the beach you get a nice view of the wild side here, really. So that Robberg Peninsula, if you love hiking, you're going to absolutely love that hike. Here's a little tip, I guess. This is my favorite sunrise spot. So I'd come here, park at the hotel parking lot, walk down the little pathway and onto this rocky outcrop here. Bring something with you, some breakfast, chill out here. It's the best spot for the sunrise I've found in Plettenberg Bay. And you can always have a little walk along Central Beach or out onto Lookout afterwards. It's a fantastic place to start your day. And then maybe one last honorable mention will go to Keerboomstrand, which is a tiny little hamlet here on the beach. And yeah, you're going to find basically a deserted beach all to yourself at Keerbooms. Beautiful part of the country, this. Now we're going to move further eastward, and we're going to come, before I go to Nature's Valley, which is down here, the N2 passes this very interesting area called the Crags. And it's a small little detour. And what's very significant about this place is that there's a lovely collection of animal rehab centers and animal parks. and they're basically a stone's throw from each other. So we've got the Crags Elephant Sanctuary, we've got Birds of Eden, Monkeyland, and the Taniqua Wildlife Rehabilitation and Awareness Center. And they're all easily doable in a day, and you should definitely check each one of them out. They all have different experiences, different animals, and a fantastic way to spend the day, especially if you're on your way down to Nature's Valley, which is our next stop here. Another very, very aptly named spot. Nature's Valley is stunning. This is the Groot estuary, which is great for any kind of flat water activities, canoeing, that kind of thing. Again, as you'd expect with the garden routes, beautiful white sand beach. I mean, that's the whole town right over there. It's such a beauty. Love it. And our favorite hike in this area is the Salt River Trail. It starts just off these rocks. You kind of climb into this area here, and you come back out and exit through the Salt River mouth. Just be wary. Last time we did it, this stretch here had a couple of handrails that had come undone, and actually a little bit dodgy, to be honest. So if you do this trail, just check that that's okay. And if you get here and you're not happy, just turn around and go back the same way you came. But really, really nice hike. That's easily doable in about 2 hours, 3 hours. So if you take it slow, nice way to spend the afternoon. And then there's a nice little cafe just on the corner here if you want to sip something down and cool off after your hike. Nature's Valley is also the end of the Otter Trail, which is a famous hike that every hiker in South Africa should know about. And the start of it is here in the Storms River mouth, which we're going to check out. But before we do that, further along the N2, we get to the Blowkrans Bridge. And that's the site of the Blowkrans Bungee, which is supposedly the highest in the world. But I've seen videos of other bungees that are said to be higher, so who knows? But it's 216 meters. I'd say that's high enough. Whether it's the highest, who knows? But yeah, worth it. If you're an adrenaline junkie, you're going to want to check that out. On your way to Storms River, you can stop in at the Big Tree, which is an 800-year-old Outeniqua yellowwood. Worth checking out. But this little town here, Storms River, is another one of those garden route towns that are absolutely to die for. So quaint. It's literally this clearing in the forest right over here. And when I say clearing, that's all it is. There's forests surrounding the whole town. It's just this little patch here. The town itself is home to an odd little 60s diner with some Elvis memorabilia and some old Mustangs, worth checking out. You can also do the forest canopy tour and the Segway tours, which leave out of Storms River. And there's just a bunch of epic hiking trails. I mean, look at this. That's just full-on forest all over here. So yeah, Storms River itself is a nice place to stay if you're looking for one quaint little village. But the real big draw card in this area is obviously the Storms River mouth, which is down here. This is part of the Garden Route National Park. It's the start of the Otter Trail, as I mentioned, which will start off of here. It's also the start of the Dolphin Trail, which heads eastward out of here too, which is a less popular, kind of a bit easier to get onto the Dolphin Trail, not as long a waiting list. But if you're not into big multi-day hikes, then this is also a great place just to check it out. A lot of cool facilities here at the river mouth from a camping and accommodation point of view. There's also this little system of suspension bridges, which give you lovely views up and down the river. And there's a short hike up to the Dolphin Trail, to the head. This is actually a viewing platform over here, which gives you views on a clear day right the way back to Plettenberg Bay. So that's a very cool view site. And if you're looking for a short little hike, a taste of the Otter Trail, then there's a little waterfall over here that you can hike to and a cave along the way. So that's about an hour, 2 hour there and back hike. Give you a good view of that first part of the Otter Trail and some hiking to do around the mouth. And that's really it. If you want to extend your trip, your road trip route, and go to the next major city, which is Port Elizabeth, then I definitely recommend stopping off at St. Francis Bay or Jeffreys Bay. They're both very beautiful towns in their own right. Otherwise, you can head back along the garden route the way you came, or you can head up into the Bovion's Kloof area and back through Oudtshoorn, or if you want to go over the Swartberg Mountains, you can go back via Prince Albert. Really, that's if you want to do some proper exploring on your way back to Cape Town. But like I say, we're going to look at this area at a later date in a separate video. For now, I just wanted to show you guys some of our favorites on the coastal regions of the garden route. So yeah, I'm going to leave a couple of links down in the description below. Please make use of that for extra reading and research for your own travels. If you want to ask us any questions, by all means, you can email us or leave a comment down there as well. And like I said, if I've left anything out that you think should be there or you've done and you think is great, then leave us a comment there as well too. So until next time, I hope you're well, and we'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao. Bye.